What's up, guys? Team Stamp West, Discraft Underground team captain. We got Alex. Alex, how's it going?
Pretty good, man.
Awesome. We got a man that you guys probably all know and love. We got Mr. Brian Earhart.
What's up, everybody?
Awesome. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us. A lot of Discraft love going on for this one. We want to remind people, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe. We're going to keep content coming to you guys, so be sure to help us out with those two things. So here we are, Brian, in this kind of off-season 2.0 that is dragging on a little bit longer than everybody else wanted to. What are you kind of doing to stay busy, both physically and mentally?
So right after Waco, and we found out all this was happening, a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, Brant Weber from Charlotte, reached out to me. I'd stayed with him and met him last year for USDGC. He reached out and said, "Hey, is everything okay? Like, if you guys need to, come up over to Charlotte and you guys can crash in my house and not have to live in a van." And it was very clutch that he said that, because Planet Fitness is shut down. So that was where, I'm living out of a ProMaster this year. So that was my hygiene source. So me and Lindsay drove over to Charlotte, and that's one of my favorite places in the country anyway. I love that area. I love the disc golf. I love the community. The weather is amazing. So we were there for a while. I went into town, and I really love teaching lessons. It's one of my favorite things to do in disc golf. So I, did a little advertisement post on the club page and instantly got like a crazy number of responses, to the point where it exposed my horrible organization skills. Because, in a perfect world, I wish there was an app where anytime you had somebody message you about a lesson, it just funneled it into a calendar or something. But there are apps for that I've used, but not for disc golf. But I was teaching lessons initially, and it was going fantastic. I think we're just at a point in disc golf these days where people are realizing how cheap it really is to play, even with discs getting a little bit more expensive, even with pay-to-play courses popping up. I still relate. You go to a private disc golf course, say the most beautiful course you've ever seen, Maple Hill, Pyramids. They're charging $10 to $20 for the whole day, right?
Yeah.
Mini golf charges like $10 to $15 for 18 holes. So I think people are starting to realize that, like, wow, even though most of the courses are free, it really isn't that big of a deal to pay for an experience in disc golf. So, I price my lessons just like I would, like a guitar lesson, pretty reasonable prices, and things were good. But then things started getting really weird in Charlotte. Just towns started getting locked down. Different counties started closing things up. And I felt right after the PDGA had mentioned that we should stay home, I was in a kind of a moral dilemma, because money is nice to live. Gotta, if I chose to make a living in a game that there's not that much money in, I still have to make money, and I hate selling discs. So, I tried the best I could to get the lessons going as long as possible, but then I canceled them, and we just kind of hunkered down and, hung out and watched Tiger King and, the typical quarantine things that people do.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
But now I'm in Chicago. So we found out that, things were starting to get shut down in Charlotte. My lessons weren't happening. So, what was the point in staying? So my brother's about to have a kid. So nice. He's not having a kid, but his wife is having a kid.
Right. They're having
biology. Yeah. I'm here now, and I actually just started doing lessons again. I'm setting up to do a podcast tonight with a reunion special. We have Paul Ulibarri joining me again as a host, and I think we're doing a solo episode with him.
Nice.
So a lot of stuff going on, but as you can tell with my rambling, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So
you're always a busy guy. We want to touch a little bit more on the Buzzz Podcast, which I believe debuted last year, right? Last year is when you started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Yuli started it, and it was originally going to be like Golf Science Lab is a podcast that I listen to in the golf world, and it's just a little bit more technical show. It talks a lot more about, like, not like current golf news, but it talks more about like the game behind the game.
Yeah.
They have a lot of like tour coaches and players talk about their come up story. So I tried, tried making the initial episodes like that.
Hmm.
And once Yuli's um, ACL ripped and he went his own way, and uh, I was stuck in this giant RV by myself. I kind of went through like a identity crisis because
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like Yuli was in charge and I was the assistant that just helped out, but it was just a weird time. So I started
Yeah.
just interviewing my friends and asking them about their come up stories, and people liked it.
Hmm.
And again, I still don't like talking about current disc golf news because I
Hmm.
think enough people do a good job at it. So I don't,
Yeah.
And then also, what am I going to do? Go to Calvin Heimberg and say, "Hey, how do you feel playing Vista for like the 5th year in a row?" Yeah, like, he's going to say it's fine.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think
Um,
it's interesting because I feel like more people. Brody Smith has really brought a lot of attention and questions about the game behind the game. Just like
Mhm.
you're talking about, traditional golf has been around for 100
hundreds of
years or
years.
more, and there's been
Yeah,
a
more than
hundred
that.
million 100 million interviews for ball golfers, but disc golf is
Mhm.
still relatively young when you look
Mhm.
at the game of traditional golf.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of making our own way, but also looking at things that they've done in the past and what they're doing that is
Yeah.
succeeding and bringing more attention to them. And one of the things that Brody said was, why are there not more people talking about the game in the game?
Mhm.
What are people thinking on certain shots? What are they looking at? What are they
Mhm.
analyzing? And so I think you've kind of hit a cool little niche as the sport grows in
Yeah,
talking about those.
he says that, but then probably has not listened to a single episode of my podcast. So it's like
Come on,
where's your
Brody.
like you can't come into a community with that type of a preachy opinion
Yeah.
without knowing the community. But kudos to him for just having the platform and then
Yeah.
utilizing it for something that he sounds like he caught the bug and he's like really into it now. So good for
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
clearly has performed as an elite athlete for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's a very vulnerable spot to put yourself in.
Oh, totally.
You're going to be a vlogger, and then you're going to say, "I'm going to become the best frisbee golfer ever," like just like out of nowhere, and you're like, "Okay, like good luck." Like it sounds cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
but
let people know quick where they can catch the Buzzz
Mhm.
podcast. I know you talked about
Yeah,
the one coming up with Yuli, and you have several others that are really great listens as well. So let
yeah,
people know where they can find those.
yeah. The main places are Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Eventually, I'll get some more video, like once I can get back on the road and video some interviews and put them on YouTube. But right now, it's Apple Music, Spotify, I think like Pocket Casts, and a few other like smaller podcasting platforms have it. And yeah, we're recording tonight. And Paul called me and said, "Hey, I got kind of a studio set up in my place in Seattle. I think I'm ready to
Nice.
come back on as a host, and I'm excited to just talk about what the next level is." And he's one of those people that really entertains the ideas that I have in disc golf,
Mhm.
and I think there's just a lot of things like you had said that are not talked about, and there's a lot of misinformation that flies around that people take as fact because that's what
Yeah.
people tell them.
Mhm.
It's like um so I try to at least give very clean factual information based off of observations I've made and pull from other sports. So yeah, I'd love for people to check it out, and I think we're gonna have some cool side segments pop up as a result of Yuli coming back on. I think I did one
Nice.
rabbit hole segment, which is just me ranting about stuff for like 5 to 10 minutes, and people seem to love that a lot. And I have like 5 more that I want to record tonight, so we'll see.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Sprinkling them in, here and there.
That's awesome. So kind of back into the things that you offer. You're a man of many trade. You said you're starting video lessons as well. How can people get in touch with you for that?
Well, um, all you really have to do, I mean, Instagram or Facebook, if you just find me there, please just send me a message. You can shoot me an email at brianearhartfrisbee@gmail.com. But really, all I'm asking for is like a side angle video and a behind angle video, just because you know, most people come to me and ask for two things. They want distance. That's the main one because that's how you keep up nowadays. Back in the day, it used to not be as important to be a distance thrower, but now the mountain is getting a lot higher to climb.
Yeah.
And the concept of distance is taught wrong all the time, and there's so many more levels than people give it. So um, I do the best I can to look at both angles, analyze what they're doing, bring up a couple gatekeeper skills, like skills that if you don't have down, nothing else is going to matter. Like it's just going to be polishing a turd at
Mhm.
that point. And we just I try to hammer out um, what they should be focusing on first, why they should be focusing on the specific skill first, and what it's going to do for them. And a lot of times, there's a lot of videos online of little tiny things people can tweak to get better. But if you take care of like a bigger picture item like footwork or, um, you know, upper lower body timing, a lot of little things take care of themselves. So that's how I teach. I try to not add things to the game. I try to take things away from the form to make it a lot
Mhm.
cleaner and simpler and more replicatable. So they can eventually grow to develop their own style, like all the other pros that do weird stuff that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, totally.
you know.
No, that's really insightful. It's really interesting because there are so many things that are just like, how do I throw far? And I think your approach.
So many. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
Oh my god. There's so many. Like I can like. How much time have you budgeted for this podcast?
Well,
Are we done?
no, we're not done. We have a few more questions. If you have things to say, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the way you said that, I'm reading as all right. We got to get moving. So
No, you're good. You're good.
tune into the Buzzz tonight. Well, not tonight. We'll probably put it out tomorrow. Tune into the Buzzz, and I'll lay some stuff down, or $25 PayPal, and I will go through everything with you. So
Gotcha.
just hit me up.
It's cheap.
But yeah, go on. We'll talk about distance later.
Okay. So we're starting to see things shape up for the future of post-COVID, right? When it comes to the PGA and the DGPT, and they're ramping back up. DGPT is going to start back up at Portland, I think is what everybody's saying. Worlds are obviously postponed. Are you going to jump right back on tour at Portland, or what's your plans when it comes to returning to the tour?
That's a good question. As of right now, I'm all in. I've only played 3 events this year, and I'm ready to compete again. Like I feel like I've sabotaged myself in enough big events where I'm playing amazing and then I get 25th. I want to, just like Yuli wants to get his major win before he retires. I just need to feel like I had a season where I'm playing like a professional, week in and week out. So I'm all in. I'm going to Portland. I'm going to all the big events. Because I feel very grateful that Discraft has given me a contract that even makes things remotely okay during the quarantine. So I'm trying to not take that for granted, and I'm trying to do the best I can to get myself out there all over the country because that's what they want. So
Yeah.
Nice.
But to be honest with you, the quarantine makes you. I mean, obviously, it makes you think a lot about money. It makes you think a lot about existence and what it means to just exist somewhere. And you either work a job that makes you good money, and hopefully you're grateful for the money that you're making at this job. Maybe you don't like the job, but you have paychecks coming in, which is better than a lot of people in this world. Or you take the route that I'm taking, and you got to make it work somehow. And it made me realize, man, I did a Buzzz episode with MJ, Michael Johansson. Check that one out, fans. That's one of my favorite ones I've done. And it made me realize, man, if you stay in an area, especially a disc golf hotbed, we're still so young in the sport and there's so many people getting into the game now. People are they're begging for people to teach them, just like tennis lessons, golf lessons, skiing lessons. Go to a state, go to a hotbed for the sport and ask around how many people truly teach lessons, quality premium not many.
Yeah.
There's not many. In Charlotte, there was two people doing it, and they were doing fantastic. And I went there and instantly, I had interest. And I'm not saying this as some greedy business person, but I think as a professional, there's just like golf has teaching professionals, disc golf is getting to a point, infrastructurally where there's definitely a need for it.
Yeah.
And it's starting to make me realize that, man, if I went to the Charlotte area, or I went to, the New England area, or any place really, you can compete locally. And if you're offering the right services, I think you can go far there as well. So
Full time.
I've analyzed that option as well, but I love traveling, so we're gonna do that for now.
That's so
Nice.
cool. That's such an interesting perspective, and it kind of leans on this idea that this sport, like you said, we're still young and we're still growing, but we are taking these certain steps, these X, Y, and Z steps to get into that professional atmosphere, and kind of lean further into being more like, obviously not that we're not recognized, but more of a more profound sport in.
Well, we're recognized.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
Recognized.
So,
For sure.
So as we're looking forward, obviously we mentioned getting back on DGPT, but the 2020 Worlds is postponed. But curious, as we think about when that will be, and how we're going to move into that, what are your thoughts on those courses, right? So those courses, I know the Fort, I'm pretty sure, is one of them. And then I don't know if they're doing the golf course. Are they doing the golf course for Worlds as well?
I think they're doing mulligans as well.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on that? Looking into, because obviously there's a prep, right? There's a prep session that you would go into. It'd be mid-season, and now it's going to get moved back. What does it look like to prepare for those courses at a later date, or what does it look like to prepare for those courses at all?
Oh man. So I'm going to tell you something, Alex. To be honest, preparing for those courses, I could probably choose anything, and it'll be better than how I've performed there in the past.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, and to be honest with you, I kind of know what it is. But the first time I played the Utah Open, I think I flew out to it. I was like still working at the software company I was at, and I flew out there, and I just had my bag with me, and I had never really played at even a remotely high elevation at the time because I was from Illinois. I played Midwestern tournaments mainly. All I had in my bag for distance drivers were forces, and I was like, oh, it's a golf course. Like, I just need to, I'll just chuck a bunch of hyzers. Oh my gosh, like I could have been throwing cranks or, something out there, but my bag was not suited to handle the elevation the first time. I didn't shoot a single 1,000-rated round. I didn't cash. And then the next year, I believe that was 2018. The next year, I was on tour, and I thought I had the equipment for it. And I actually don't remember what happened, but I also didn't shoot a 1,000-rated round, and I didn't cash. It was like one of the only tournaments of the year. I think I'm well suited for the course. My play style has changed quite a bit. I think if I go in there with just an open mind and forget all the negative, because that's the other thing. You go back to certain courses and you have this baggage that comes with you.
Yeah.
Like if I went back to Europe, like I'd have to rid myself of that too. I played terrible out there, but the Fort, the last time I saw it, I left the course after 13 holes. So
oh wow.
I was just kind of like, the TD was telling me to go out there. I went there and I couldn't find the next tee pad anywhere. There was terrible signage. It was rough.
Oh, jeez.
A lot of the shapes that I saw were not like real shapes. But again, that was in 2018, I believe. So, and I've heard the course has come a really long way since then. And I love woods golf. So hopefully it's shaped up, and mulligans, maybe I'll just throw a Buzzz off every tee or something. I don't know. All I know is there's a Dance Dance Revolution machine at the Mulligans Arcade, so I'm going to be wrecking that one.
Nice. Throwback.
Priorities there.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I'm
well, sweet.
That game.
So 2020 Worlds, we're excited about it. We kind of want to start the talk about it now. I think it's going to ramp up as the event gets closer. You're kind of you touched on the elevation. You're ready to compete. People are excited. So we'll keep the conversation going around Worlds and getting people's opinions on that throughout the year until it is scheduled, and we can kind of get something a little more concrete going with it. But that's it for our questions. So we do have some of our infamous rapid fires, and we have some. Usually I have some silly ones in here, but
these are really interesting. These are
some
really
real questions. I was in a really fun headspace when I wrote these. So, all right, are you ready?
What kind of headspace?
Oh, it's just, I don't know. Fun one.
Go on.
All right. Well, I'm going to fire them at you. We got 10 questions. Relatively quick answer, but feel free to put a little thought into them if you need to.
Okay.
Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Really? What? You're from Chicago.
Oh, I love deep dish pizza, but I just ate pizza for dinner. So what do you want me to do?
All right. If you could create your perfect flight numbers for a fairway driver, what would they be?
9300.
00.
Oh yeah, I want a fast disc with no glide that is completely neutral. Because that is the most point and shoot disc you can think of. And it'll probably go just as far as a 7-speed, but with way less airtime. And that's what you want. You know, if you can get a disc to go out 375 flat, all right.
You want to throw a disc at something, right?
Yeah, I would throw it on every hole. I would throw it on every hole.
Ha! All right. Was not expecting that one. The maximum discs that somebody actually needs to carry in their bag.
Like a new player or anybody?
Just anybody.
10.
10. Fair.
Interesting.
James Conrad went to the European Open with a Patagonia backpack.
With like 3 or 4?
Discs.
Yeah, 10. Okay.
10 discs, 4 of them were putters.
Okay, yeah.
So, and he got top 10 at the major, so you only need 10.
Jeez. 10. Are raised baskets the future of disc golf?
Currently, the future, man. I think the basket's fine for now. I think course design. I think the more the country takes disc golf seriously, and course and more beautiful private pieces of property are up for grabs for disc golf, we're not going to need to change the baskets for a while. So raised baskets are fine, but I don't think they're going to be the future.
Gotcha.
Good. Should professional players be allowed to throw with both hands?
Hell yeah! Are you kidding me? The Japanese national ultimate team. There was one year actually they played against the USA Dream Team that Brody Smith was on, and it looked like a couple of their handlers were throwing lefty righty. I think it's amazing. I think that's the beautiful thing about the frisbee. Please throw opposite handed.
I ask because you come from a bowling background like myself, and you're not allowed to switch hands at a tournament. You're actually not allowed to. So it's a curious question if that should translate over to maybe some other sports.
Bowling's different though, because I think I personally don't know enough. I used to bowl a lot. I actually bowled a 300 when I was a kid. I just found my ring. I say that because I just found my ring looking through my parents' house.
Nice.
But me being a lefty, I'm kind of surprised that I'm kind of surprised that they don't allow people to bowl lefty. I mean, I understand for spare reasons, but the lefties have a total advantage, especially on some of the tougher oil patterns out there. So
Wild.
So whatever, bowling. I think that's cool.
What is your favorite candle scent?
I was actually just talking about this the other day. If there's like an espresso scent, like a coffee scent, please send them my way. I'm not going to pay for it, but ship it out my way.
Just send it.
Send it. You've just been given $100,000. Are you buying a vacant 40-acre piece of land in the woods, or are you buying a nice suburban house?
First option. I've actually already been talking about that. So
nice. Easy peasy. All right. If you had to live in one state for the rest of your life.
Oh, my God.
You kind of talked about this a little before, but you can only pick one. You can never leave. What state are you living in?
I can never leave?
Nope. That's it. You're just stuck there.
Oh, heavens. God, come on, dude. Okay, so I'm going to lay it down like this. If my family suddenly disappeared, Avengers style.
Sure.
North Carolina. The disc golf out there is just so fun. It's not. Yeah. I would say it's not as hard as the tour golf, but you could pick a different course every single day and just have the time of your life.
Yeah. Nice.
And the food is good.
Food bonus.
Food bonus.
This is one I have asked a little bit differently before, but we're gonna take the 4 best underground players, and we got some ballers.
Okay.
against you and your choice of FPO player
Okay.
on I don't know. Let's say Hornet's Nest, a good
Okay.
quality course.
Mm-hmm.
Who's winning?
Me and an FPO player of my choice.
Yeah, versus our 4 underground ballers.
I don't think it's, to be honest with you, I don't think it's even a question. Like, if I got Haley King as my partner, y'all are screwed. Like, absolutely screwed. She's a ridiculous doubles player. Just
Really?
jams putts, like huge putts. Like we had a shot at winning mixed doubles this last year, but we got kind of scrooged by the alt shot. But you guys were screwed. Shout out to Haley King.
Shout out to Haley King. We love Haley King. I would love to see this play out. I think it'd be a super fun video. Good promo for
Let's do it
for you guys and the underground. Maybe when you're in Michigan, we can work something out.
Oh, I'd throw that down for sure.
All right, our last rapid fire question: your pick to win 2020 Worlds MPO and FPO side.
Realistically, looking at like the statistics, it's staying in Utah. Yeah,
it's supposed to be staying in Utah. Yep.
I mean, Ricky is not really performing up to his potential, and he used to play Utah really well. But I saw him at the Memorial when I played with him, and he could barely walk. I think this Lyme's-related arthritis is not going to go away. So he's out. So I say Paul or Eagle. I mean,
really,
and it just depends on Eagle's mental and physical state.
Sure. What about the FPO side?
Paige.
Yeah.
I think right now we're at a time in the sport where it's a pretty easy. I mean, Katrina is amazing. Sarah's amazing. There's so many good players like Kristen and Evelina and Henna. But I look at like the best athletes in any sport, and they just have this vicious, especially solo sports. There's this vicious side to them that, like, when things don't go their way, it kind of like in a sick way fires them up.
Yeah,
and that's what Paige has over all the other players. It's like she loves kind of getting behind so she can be more aggressive.
Yeah.
So she's my pick to win every single tournament.
Nice.
Great.
Well, that makes it easy.
I think there's a ton of good players and a lot more competition, but I mean, man, she's just. I would say the person to give her from Europe to give her a run is Henna. I watched her throw because Mulligan's is wide open, and I've watched Henna throw a mid-range like 360, 370.
Yeah.
And at Jonesboro hole 1, she like parked it with a mid, and I was just like, that's some pop from like 110-pound human. Like, that's insane. So I would honestly say those two.
Yeah, I think Henna's got another year until she's really dominant. I think she gets her feet wet this year. The COVID not helping, but I think she really grows this year and then really flourishes next year and gives those other big three a real run for their money at every tournament.
It's just all because Worlds, there's bound to be one round that doesn't go perfect for you. I mean, unless it's your weekend. And that's why I say, the experience and just having that natural, like, I come out here because winning things is like what gives me that sick pleasure, and no matter what the cost is. So it's like, there's a lot of talent out there, but I see Paige hit more clutch putts and I see her hit more like super tough shots under pressure than all the other players. But not to knock them, but like to super compliment Paige now that she has a bag that she's comfortable with. Like,
yeah.
And there's a zone in her hand. It's like, come on.
It's not fair. That's wonderful.
Absolutely not fair.
Sweet. Well, that is all of our questions. So we want to give you a quick minute or two if you want to shout anybody out. I know we've talked a lot about what you got going on, but if you got a little bit more to say, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So for all you still listening, pay attention to the Buzzz. This is a great podcast, but mine is pretty sick too. And again, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm trying really hard to dig into some things that aren't touched upon that often in the disc golf world. I want to thank, Discraft and Delwood Disc Golf and Wander and Grip and all the people who have seen the same things that you guys had mentioned. And they see how much I love what I do, and they see how much I put into what I do. And they allow me to live a life that not many people live. And I'm not out there winning every tournament, but I'm still here, and I think the sky's the limit for disc golf right now. I have a lot of optimism. So shout outs to everybody that believes in me, and even if you don't, that's okay. I still love you.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Well, sweet. Thanks again, Brian, for joining us. Remember to, if you guys are still listening, give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment, share this with your pals. Tune into the Buzzz. Go find it on all of the places that Brian mentioned. Be sure to support him with a Tour Series zone.
Oh baby,
Those things are they're sick. The zone is like basically it's basically a cheater disc on so many levels. Everybody needs
joystick.
A joystick.
It's a joystick.
And that is all from us. At the end of the day, Alex, one thing left to do.
Make that putt.
Make that putt.